This epistle is a ride from the first chapter through the end of the book. It takes us on this incredible, fast-paced, rapid-fire journey. It's almost as if Paul is panicked to get this letter written and delivered to these people in Galatia. If you wanted to give yourself one possible label for this entire epistle, it could be called Paul's declaration of independence from the law of Moses. You'll notice that he uses the word free or freedom 11 times in this epistle. And the guns really are blazing in this one, in that he is rapid fire pushing back against this Judaizer movement that is trying to get these new Gentile converts to then go back in time and adopt the law of Moses, all of the dietary, the clothing restrictions, the law of circumcision, all of these laws given to Moses, to then be fully Christian. That's kind of their message. So it's as if Paul gets word that in Galatia, and keep in mind, we don't know if this is just southern Galatia, where he and Barnabas went on their first missionary journey up to Antioch of Pisidia, over to Iconium, and then Derbe and Lystra. That's southern part of Gaul. Or if it's the northern part, there's a lot of potential evidence to point to this southern Galatia, which would make this a fairly early epistle, because that big debate between the Judaizers in Jerusalem and Paul and Barnabas and his missionary companions and others who have been out among the Greco-Romans, and you get that first major conference discussing this in Jerusalem back in Acts chapter 15. It's possible, some scholars like N.T. Wright, they surmise that this letter was one of possibly his very first letters written, even before they left to go down to Jerusalem for that conference to have it out and make this decision. What do we do? Because some people are bullying our new converts, making them feel like they have to become proselytes to Judaism before they can fully be considered Christian.
It's important to recognize that anciently, particularly in the Greco-Roman world, religion for most people was something that you were born into. Now, definitely people were proselyted or converted into other religions. We have the case of Christianity. But Judaism in particular was primarily a religion you were born into. So the idea that you could have people joining the group that weren't originally Jewish would have struck a lot of people as odd. And just for a moment to offer perhaps a little bit of empathy to the Judaizers, some of them probably had good intentions. They probably were raised in this. Their ancestors for, gosh, how many hundreds of years had all lived a certain way. And the belief was, well, to be aligned with God, you have to live like this. Now, this gets to our day. We have the restored gospel of Jesus Christ in its plainness and its fullness. We have to ask ourselves, are there ever moments where we insist that others live the way we want them to, or that others put infringements upon us saying, we want you to live the way we want you to live? And we have to be clear, like Paul, that first and foremost, we have to be aligned to God and the simplicity of the gospel, and not let imposed culture that doesn't save be the requirement to prove that we are part of God's kingdom. And this is really what gets Paul so exercised. Could you imagine sitting there while he's writing this? I could imagine he would be...
He's hot under the collar.
He was really hot under the collar. And so you're going to feel the energy of he just wanted to make it clear, let us make ourselves completely aligned to God and not let culture or things from the past that no longer are necessary training wheels keep us from the freedom that Jesus has bought for us. That's really the core idea here.